Hello, welcome to Holistically Speaking. I'm Morella DeVoe, your host. Our mission at Holistically Speaking is to be the avenue through which the voices of holistic health reach you at the time you need it most. Today, we're talking about empowering your feminine energy to attract the relationship you want. I am delighted to be joined by Stephen Gonzalez again.
Thank you.
For the past 2 weeks, Stephen and I had a great conversation about the reasons why women might not be in the relationships they want. You brought us 10 reasons or 10 things that we often do in the context of relationship. And we both agreed that the conversation would be incomplete if we didn't talk about, okay, now that we know everything that we're doing wrong,
Yes.
what do we do?
Theory, now the practice.
Exactly. So how do we become more empowered in our feminine energy to create and attract the relationships that we want, right? That's what we're talking about today. And you brought to us 9 strategies that we're going to be touching on. So I think we'll, just so our viewers know, we'll be moving through these rather quickly because we want to touch them all, right?
Sure.
Great. So the first strategy to empower your feminine energy and create the relationship you want is to default to no. What does that mean?
Catchy title, right?
A catchy title.
Well, so we're assuming imbalanced yin, okay? We're assuming a woman whose yin is imbalanced. So default no is,
Sorry.
default no is say no. That when a request is made, the default would be no unless there's a good reason to say yes.
Okay.
Because an imbalanced yin will always say yes. It's like yes, yes, yes. And so I think we all know women that say yes way too much.
Way too frequently.
Way
and
too frequently.
automatically. So what you're saying, there are movies that say, like yes man or something like that, so the idea would be for a period of time just default to no.
On request.
On requests.
Yes. Would you please do this for me? Will you give me this? Will you?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
So just to stay on this for a second longer, a lot of us have a hard time saying no. So can we give them a couple examples of simple, non-aggressive ways to say no?
No, thank you. Let me get back with you.
Okay.
That's really great. I have a couple of sentences I use, so I get in a kind of a...
Yeah. Can
I get back with you with that?
Yeah.
Or you say no and then somebody challenges you on your no for why? What's your reason? I'm just kind of checking into my intuition, so I don't know that I really have a logical reason.
Right.
Usually that dissipates.
Yeah.
So let me get back with you as a nice diffuser,
okay.
I find.
Okay. Let me get back with you. Yeah.
That.
Sounds good. So the second strategy for empowering your feminine energy is then default to yes.
A default yes.
A default yes.
So default yes is when you're offered things and someone wants to give you gifts.
Oh, okay.
Because again, in balance, you always go, oh no, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll walk the 2 miles to my car. You don't have to give me a ride.
Yeah. What I've been practicing for myself on that note is to say, I can receive that. Yes, thank you. I can receive that.
Yes. So it's yes to receiving, no to giving.
Right.
Which sounds not very spiritual, but certainly for imbalanced yin, I think it's a really good strategy for a while, kind of a moratorium.
For a moratorium, yeah.
Yes.
Well, because I think most people will agree, most women will agree that we tend to be overgivers.
Right.
And so, and smother the people that maybe we care for or are interested in. And so it's a better strategy to say, okay, let's default to no.
Yes.
To
it's like
overdoing.
Giving is love, and it's not always love. It can be done for many reasons.
That's something that I need to remind myself of.
And I think that's just a trait of imbalanced yin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 3, I'm really curious about this one, is the rule of 3.
Yes, the rule of 3. I'm thinking of yang protects yin, okay? So this is kind of a protection strategy in relationships, women with men. So it's like a rule of three is lying, breaking promises, irresponsibility. So I think if you're in a relationship with a man or you're thinking of being in a relationship with a man, they get three. So it could
Oh.
be you catch him lying 3 times, or one of each, or 3 irresponsibilities, or 3 breaking promises. And, you know, I would strongly suggest you think of
Yeah.
ending the relationship.
Yeah.
So I call that the rule of 3.
So do you find that imbalanced yin, or women who are not in their empowered
Oh, yes,
self, are
right.
they not saying no fast enough?
Imbalanced
Or
yin will be like, oh, he got up on the wrong side of the bed.
Oh,
Oh, he had a hard childhood.
yeah,
Oh, he really didn't mean that. Oh, you know, so it's like
justifying their
excuses. And with this idea that giving somebody chances is somehow a great spiritual
yeah,
principle.
yeah.
And so I think it is. And so I would say, and again, for imbalanced yin, I'd say 3.
Okay.
You get 3.
So breaking promises, lying.
You catch them in lies, you catch them breaking promises, or find that they break their promises, or just being irresponsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's real.
Could we add disappointment to 4?
I think that's implied.
Too
You
many
disappointed me. Yeah, that's a little more problematic. I'd probably go with those other 3.
Okay. All right, I like it. So rule number 4 is request yang to be yang.
Yeah. Yin has the right, and it's very appropriate for yin to request yang to be yang. It's not nag, or it's not condemn, but just to request that the man be traditionally yang. So that could be areas of just consideration, protection. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be opening doors, but I think
Right.
opening doors, just kind of this idea that, you know, you used the word, I think when we were talking before, yin being delicate. I like that word as long as it doesn't kind of impede the idea that yin is very strong and powerful.
Right.
But there is a delicacy to it, you know. So, and yang is a kind of more of a protective force for that.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind
Yeah.
of one of what I'm thinking
Yeah.
about there.
Well, and it's a fine balance too, because you used the example of the ovum and the sperm.
Right.
And you know, the ovum being the feminine principle that's carried on the fingertips, and you know, so for us women, allowing ourselves to be in that space of receiving attention,
Right.
without becoming the quote unquote high maintenance, you know, type
Right.
of super demanding type of woman, right?
Yeah. I like it if my wife wants a glass of wine and she's sitting on the couch and she might say, "Would you mind getting me a glass of wine?" I love it.
Yeah.
I think she's being yin,
Yeah.
you know, and
Well, and
it could be a lot of other things, but you know, when it's
Right.
right, it feels really great.
right.
Because I think yang wants to be yang, and yang
Right.
wants to bless yin. It's not like this effort
Right.
when you get the energy right. And it's
Yeah.
not because women are yin and men are yang.
Right.
You're trying to find this natural energy that does exist. You're uncovering it, actually. You're not trying to generate it.
Right.
You can't generate yin, you can't generate yang.
Right. It's a dance that
Yeah.
you're essentially doing.
Yeah, you uncover it, and you can discover it. And so if both parties have the mindset of trying to find that polarity, it can be real interesting and fun.
Right. What you're saying, what it's eliciting, correct me if I'm wrong, is, you know, I think back of the more traditional roles that through millennia,
Right.
you know, the yang, the man in the family and the relationship, he builds the house. He kind of puts the roof over the head, you know, keeps the family protected. It's like that external caring, whereas
Right.
the yin is like that internal
Yes.
atmosphere kind
Yeah,
of caring.
right. It really was modeled in that. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So allowing them to be that kind of strong
Right. And so it's not necessarily rigid roles, because it is finding the energy of it, because you can be in a traditional yin or traditionally yang role, and it's not healthy, because it's not
Yeah.
really your energy, or it's this artificial role that you're just doing, and there's no life in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, so we're talking about, just for clarity's sake for our viewers, what we're talking is that the quality of the energy, not necessarily like
Yes.
being the breadwinner and the woman needs to be the homemaker. That's
Yeah.
not what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
and they're real energies to me. They're real, electromagnetic
Yeah.
energies.
Yeah, but I really understand that principle, because I know that I, as a woman, have sometimes not allowed myself to be in a place of receiving that really
Right.
kind of attentive, masculine energy. It's just
And
like,
a
oh,
lot
no,
of-
no, it's okay, I can do it
And
myself.
a lot of men don't know how to give, really,
Right.
to be generous in that way.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. So number 5, water activities. So what do you mean, cultivating water activities? Are we?
Well, this is going back to the idea that the ovum and sperm come together as the kind of as the ultimate yin yang, feminine masculine energy. So they create a human being that has yin and yang in them.
Mhm.
Of course, women being more yin, men being yang. But the systems of the body, some systems are more yin and some are more yang. So the digestive tract, which is basically a water-based water course, is the yin, is sort of the yin part of the body. So anything that is kind of a water, like soaky baths, you kind of think of women as taking soaky baths,
Right.
but not really men.
Yeah.
Not that men can't. But so water-based activities actually promote yin. Being at the beach, soaky baths, getting in the shower, any kind of watery kind of thing kind of promotes
Right.
yin. When I came up with these, I tried to get sort of like some real pragmatic, everyday kinds of things, and then
Yeah.
more spiritually
Yeah.
bigger.
Well, what I really liked when I saw number 5 was that it gave me something really concrete. That I have had the question for the last few weeks and maybe a couple months about how does one, as a woman, be more in a space of receiving? How does one practice receiving when you haven't really been used to it?
Right.
And so, is this like? Would you see cultivating water activities, being in the presence of water, as something that would help you or help women tap into that energy?
The female clients I have suggested that to, some take to it just immediately, and then others have a real reaction to, I can't possibly soak in the bath 30 minutes. My mind would go crazy, or I would find like I have a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
And so the water tends to expose the yangness
Yeah.
of that,
Yeah.
So I just thought that was a real pragmatic,
Yeah.
concrete kind of thing, body-centered
Right.
thing to do. Some of these are emotional centered, some of these are spiritually centered. That's a real body centered. Of course, receiving body work
Yeah.
is, massages,
Right.
foot massages, any kind of body thing
Right.
puts you in a yin space, because it's a receiving.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds, yeah.
Just what you wanted to hear, right? Get massages.
Yes, exactly. I was just going to say,
And
yeah,
it's your
I can-
spiritual path to be.
It's my spiritual
It's
path.
your spiritual path to be pampered. Can you believe it?
Thank you. Oh, wow. Takes it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
I need to commit
My
myself
spiritual
to getting
practice is being pampered.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'll receive that.
Okay.
I'll say yes to
Okay.
that. Okay, so let's talk about number 6. Being prepared for fire.
Right. Just the idea that relationships are a fire, go into them with the idea of healing. Nobody's perfect. So just having that space, okay?
Right.
Yin is all about creating space. So it's just having that space that this is not going to be perfect. As things come up, will come up. and use them for healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of a yin-y kind of mindset.
Yeah. So do you see women some women maybe start running, like all of a sudden the fire comes up and they're not prepared for it? What is it that?
Yes, I see that, well, we argued relationship over, or this issue came up, relationship over, and it's like,
Yeah.
really, that's the very thing that you can mine intimacy out of. And
Yeah.
finding, when there is that fire, that helps you find the yin-yang polarities. That's the compass.
Right.
That, in a sense, this may not be very attractive, but the conflict in the relationship is actually what helps you find that compass
Right.
of yin-yang compass. Yeah. So it's not that you cultivate conflict, but there will be,
Right.
right? There's always disagreement.
Yeah.
So you can use it to your advantage.
Right.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone recently about their relationship just being so steady, so even keeled, where there was no fire. And so there's also very little excitement as well. So does the fire and that tension, because some people believe there needs to be like tension, that there needs to be fire in order for the relationship to actually thrive.
Yeah, so when I hear that, I don't know, maybe they're just two peaceful people. But if they're not talking very much or interacting very much, if they're both really busy, sometimes there's not enough time to interact for that to come up, Because I usually say, well, how much time are they actually spending together? How much time do you actually talk?
Right.
Because they're actually not talking at any kind of depth. But I think it's possible for just people to be just really peaceful, Although I don't tend to see that, in my practice.
It's not as common.
Yeah. Not for me at any rate.
Yeah.
Unless I guess it's the Quaker community or something, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's look at number 7. Practice emptiness.
Right, so this is really going back as yin as a spiritual practice and really telescoping out to a big picture, whereas these are more, you can actually practice like everyday life. So being empty is ultimate yin. That's the ultimate in yin, is space and being empty. And so going back to the idea of a relationship being fire, things come up from the subconscious, right? Beliefs, physical symptoms, emotions. And so it's a willingness to meet those and let those empty out of your system. So that's kind of the way I see the spiritual path overall, is this emptying process, because what you are can't be generated, it can only be uncovered. Just like you being yin can't be generated, it can be uncovered.
Right.
You can help it along. So the practice of emptiness is that attitude of meeting what the subconscious is bringing up and participating with that process. There's lots of things you can do to participate with that process, but that's sort of like a big overview of that.
So how does one practice emptiness? How do you practice being empty?
So one of the ways I practice emptiness is letting go of results. Right? So if I letting go of results, like if I'm interacting with my wife and I want her to be happy that I'm interacting with her in a certain way. So if I go in there anticipating results and expecting results, and then she's not as happy as I think she should be, or as grateful or whatever, then, harumph, I can have some kind of energy about that. But if I go in with empty, if I have cultivated emptiness, then I can be yang and not demand she be yin to my yang. Right?
Yeah.
So I can let go of that.
Right.
And so when I let go of that, that allows my authentic yang to come out, and then she can be yin or not in my interaction with her.
And what happens if someone, hears something like this and says, but I can't let go of the result, because they have such a strong, they might have a strong attachment to...
Welcome to conflict. There's just going to be conflict.
Right.
If you have expectations
Mm-hmm.
in general of how another person should be in your interaction with them,
Mm-hmm.
then welcome to conflict. But just ratchet up that energy hundreds of times
Yeah.
in an intimate relationship, because that intimate relationship is going to be accessing the deepest part of your soul.
Mm-hmm.
So hence, any deep, big energies,
Mm-hmm.
they have to come out.
Yeah.
And you actually want them to come out. And if you have the mindset that, again, that the container or the idea, the relationship is a fire, then you're not going to be surprised when somebody says, well, I hate you.
Yeah.
Well, no, relationship over. Well, no, let's just kind of
Right.
work with that.
Right.
What do you mean you hate me?
Yeah.
Or-
So there's a question that I want to ask you, but I want to be sure that we have time
Sure.
to touch on numbers 8 and 9. So number 8 is love your monsters.
Yeah, so that's going back again to empty, participating with your emptiness, because some people actually don't want to find out about things,
Mm-hmm.
how they are. Some people don't want to find out, really, am I that controlling? Am I really doing it for that reason?
Yeah.
Ooh, so they don't really want to get into contact with that. So that's sort of another space to cultivate to cultivate the emptying process.
Right.
To just assume there's going to be monsters and that you're going to befriend them. If there isn't, great.
Yeah.
But if there is, you know,
So Stephen, do you think that in making friends with your monsters, maybe that's one way, or it's the first step to end the blame game in a relationship?
absolutely. Because what you don't befriend in your psyche, you project.
Mm-hmm.
And then you condemn in someone else.
Right.
Because your monsters are kind of like under prison, right?
Yeah.
They're in prison in you because they're condemned.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see that same behavior in someone else, you're automatically going to condemn them.
Yeah.
But you're really condemning your or you're re-condemning
Right.
your own condemned monsters,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I realize I put that in a dramatic fashion, but I just kind of,
Well-
it makes things more stark.
Yeah. Well, and owning your junk, to a certain,
Yes.
the way that I often think about it and talk to clients about it, and that, in the regard, in the aspect of relationship, is about buttons. Sure, your partner pushes your button,
Hmm.
but really, if there weren't a button, nothing would happen.
Right.
So, instead of blaming them for pushing your button, how about you look at your button and maybe
Yeah.
deactivate it?
Yeah.
So.
And you're probably going to go through a period of where you're going to be blaming. With my wife, I think we've worked through some things, but we still have those buttons, and I think you might go through 15 minutes of blaming before you realize, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
this is actually,
Right.
here.
Right.
And I think those become less frequent and less intense as you go along.
Yeah. As the relationship deepens.
As the relationship,
Yeah.
deepens, exactly.
Which is, do you know Harville Hendrix?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once saw him in a video saying that one of the things that made him exceedingly sad was that he would see people quit too soon, just as they were. It was about to get really, really good if they just, saw it through.
It's almost like getting the metal hot enough to forge it and go,
Yeah.
well, it's too hot. It's like, it needs to be hot
Right.
to be banged into some other shape.
Right.
In fact, the heat is what allows it to be banged into
Yeah.
another shape.
Yeah.
But, if you're really afraid of anger or that, then,
Right.
yeah.
So then the last one, number 9, is expect to be blessed.
Yes, I think yang naturally blesses yin.
Mm-hmm.
And so yin gets this, I think the exhale is yin.
Mm-hmm.
It gets this of being blessed, supported, and it's a relaxation response.
Mm-hmm.
I think the relaxation response in itself is very yin, and I think yang provides that and likes, I think healthy yang likes providing that.
Right.
It makes yang feel like
Yeah.
yang.
Yeah, exactly.
And yang likes feeling like yang.
Yeah.
And yin likes feeling like yin, so it's a perfect
Yeah,
match.
Exactly, because I think every man wants to feel that they are great at caring and loving their woman, And
Yes.
every woman wants to feel great at caring and loving their man. It's just different.
Yes. To me, I think, I don't know if we've talked off camera, on camera about respect. I think men, it's kind of a respect, a yangy respect thing of
Right.
being able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question that I put on hold,
Okay.
when we were talking about emptiness, we've talked a lot about women receiving and allowing yang to be yang, and this concept of emptiness. And I could imagine someone watching and saying, well, that sounds really passive, that the woman's supposed to not do anything. So where is the line between receiving and being that receptive yin energy, and not necessarily, and not being passive?
Yeah, so yin is, that'd be like saying the sperm goes into the female body and she does nothing. It's like she's doing a ton of things. They're all internal,
Right.
though. They can't be seen. So I think a lot of feminine work has to do with the internal world, turning the energy of the internal. See, I think men and women instinctively know who they are when they meet on an energetic level. They may have so much mind stuff going that they can't get that. So let me track with your question, though, about is empty being passive or is yin being passive? Well, first of all, quite the contrary. There's a lot going on with yin, and so yin can request and yin can say no, which are both very powerful, right? Say
Yeah.
no to what she doesn't want.
Yeah.
Like the ovum chooses the sperm out of thousands. So that's a lot of no's and one yes,
That's true.
right? So that's
Yeah.
a lot of, in a sense, activity.
Yeah.
That's a lot of discernment. Discernment is a yin
Right.
thing. So is that kind of going to where that?
It's helping.
Are you thinking about the
it's
woman being
helping.
pushed around, or what when you say passive?
No, I would even imagine a man hearing this and saying, "So wait, I'm the one who has to do all the work, and she's just going to sit on the couch and be." You see what I mean? Where I could see the exaggerated
Yes.
yin being like, "Okay, well, bring me my wine," and
Yeah.
So, well, and I guess the way we can, at least I'm summing it up in my head since we're pretty much running out of time, is
Yes.
that, if we think about the yin-yang symbol,
Yeah.
they balance each other out and they both contain
Yeah.
a bit of each other.
Yeah.
And so even in women embracing their feminine principle,
Right.
they still need to have a little bit of the outwardness and a little bit of the...
Yeah, I'd say the yin yang symbol is like the feminine side is 10% yang.
Yeah,
So it's not like you're going to 100%. You're going to 10.
right.
And also wanted to say there's a lot of caricatures of yin and yang. And again, it's just the outward.
Right.
You actually have to seek the authentic energy.
So we've pretty much run out of time. So if you want to hear more about what Stephen has to say, or maybe even support you in your relationship, please check out his website and his email address. You're going to see it in a minute. Thank you so much for joining me. This was fascinating for me.
Thank you.
And I'm sure for all of our viewers as well. There's your website. And I hope this was interesting for everyone as much
Me
as
too.
it was for me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.